Tēnā koutou katoa, ko Kirsty Mills tōku ingoa. I am the Science Edge Consultant for Education Perfect. Today I'm going to be taking you through a couple of things all sprinkled together in terms of customizing assessments and then different ways they can be assigned to students. So I'm heading into my content space, and where I'm working from today is in the New Zealand Curriculum Nature of Science. We have some diagnostic assessments. So what I'm going to do today is using the levels 3, 4, 5 assessment to give you ideas of how you can customize our pre-built assessments. I'm going to be doing a fairly simple version of breaking that 3, 4, 5 into 3, 4, and 5, and then looking at how you might assign that to students in ways that allow them to do some learner agency and self-selection, and ways that you can assign that and ways you can approach that might be a little bit different than you may have in the past. So in order to customize this, I'm going to go to preview at the very right-hand corner after making my way to the assessment. And once I've previewed it, on the top right-hand corner, I have the 3-button menu, which lets me add it to my content. Once you've added it to your content, which is then only visible to you, a good space for editing, I'll confirm that. And now I've got an editable version, and it's asking me to give my copy of it a name. So I'm going to save that. Now, what I'm going to do is I've already made a pre-split version of level 3. So I'm going to make a level 4 version. So I'm getting rid of the copy of by clicking on the title, getting rid of copy of. I'm going to delete anything to do with levels 3 and 5. So you can see I'm editing the title. I can, on the very first slide here, I'm going to click on the top folder, levels where it says 3 to 5. I'm going to change that to 4 in the title. In the information slide, I'm going to save first before I go and edit the individual slide. But on this individual slide, I can edit the slide there, and I can get rid of some text. And just say, this is level 4 of the curriculum. I'm going to be removing some questions, and I'm just going to simplify that down. I'll save the question on the button on the right, and then using the top left-hand back button, I'm going to go back. There is my slide. And down the left, these are all of the questions. So I'm going to expand each folder of questions. And every time I see level 3, I'm going to delete. I'm going to click on level 5, delete. And so I'm deleting all questions and all the subcategories that aren't level 4. And I'm going to just put this down to purely a level 4 test. And this allows me to separate the 3, 4, and 5 in sort of a pre-built way. So that way I can assign them completely separately from each other. And that way, what I'm going to do is take a look at a way where I can assign the level 3, the 4, the 5 as separate assessments and allow my students to self-select. Do they want to have a go at the level 3, the 4, or the 5? Where do they sort of rate themselves? And when it comes to that, I'm doing it in a way with the self-selection where I'm giving the students the rubric for what I would consider the threshold for achieving levels 3, 4, and 5 beforehand, rather than assessing it afterwards, and letting them see for themselves if they sit the level 3, the 4, or the 5, do they reach that threshold, and what level are they at? So I don't necessarily have to use levels. I can use achievement criteria or any rubric, but levels are a really straightforward one for me to use as an example. So now I can see on the left, I've deleted everything that isn't 4. On the top right-hand corner, I'm going to save that. So now I have a level 4 assessment. When I go back, it's now changed from the browsing to the editing mode of Education Perfect. If you want to move back to browsing, on the top right-hand corner, I can see I'm clicked on edit. I can click back over to browse to go back. But in here, I've got level 3, level 4, and I'm going to go back to one of my copies up here, and I'm going to do those steps again for level 5. So I'm going to go into it, go to the top right-hand corner and go to edit. Back in this editing mode, I'm going to get rid of that, 3, 4, 5. Go to the title, get rid of 3, save that, edit this first slide, And so what I'm trying to here really is use the most basic example, even if it's not the most practical or applicable that I'm going to use, but it gives you something that you might use as an idea of ways you can play around with tests, ways that you can play around with quizzes and questions. So we have level 3, 4, and 5 lessons. You could use those to build quick quizzes set at levels. You could use the bank of questions we have in the past NCEA exams to build up some assessments like this, or to create your own pre-built assessments or quizzes. And then start to assign things like achieve merit excellence instead of 3, 4, 5. Or 3, 4, 5 based off quizzes, not pre-built assessments like this. And we're just coming up to the last bits. So now I've just got all of this at level 5. Oh, levels. Excellent. So now that I hop out of this, I've got level 3, 4, and 5. Right click and rename that. And then once I've finished eating my content, I can now go to assessments and assign an assessment to my class. So whatever class you're using. And your assessment will now appear in the My Content folder. So I'm going to do level 3 and select this. Get rid of the extra assessment. Again, reword, it could be on here. Self-select, or again, you can come with instructions, and the instructions could even be building in the rubric. Assess your own skills level to achieve at level 3, expect to get over, and you can give there. So I would probably recommend maybe 70 or 80%. That will really be around how your school is deciding those limits and those factors. That is not for me to say how to do that, but I'm going to put 70% because that would be a marker I might normally use. I'm going to open it up probably for like a week, give students a week to really go in and out and decide for themselves. I'll keep the time limit on there, but I might give them a few attempts and turn on some features. And one thing I don't want to do is I don't want to withhold the student results. Normally for this, I would, because I'd wait for all students to do it and then I would look at the data myself. But if students are going to assess themselves against that 70% that we put up here earlier, or whatever rubric you gave them, they need to see their results automatically and immediately. And then you may choose to leave on the recommendations as follow-ups, or you might choose to turn those off by switching to manual. I'm going to leave them off for now. So I might do this the follow-up separately. So I'll set that. And then what I might do is do the exact same steps now with what I'm going to do to make it even quicker. I'm going to copy it and I'm going to change it. So it keeps all the conditions the same. Now I'm just changing from 3 to 4. And everything else is the same. And that was much quicker that time. And then I'll copy, change it from 4 to 5. Done. So what I've got is I've got my levels 3, 4, 5. And rather than insisting that students do all 3 or do them in order, what I might do is give the freedom and the agency over to students to test yourself. What level are you at? And, jump in at the starting point. Start at level 4 if you want. Was it too hard? Try level 3. Was it too easy? 4. Use those grades that it gives you to make that decision as well. So just a slightly different approach as an idea that you might want to tweak to any other form of self-assessment for students. Thank you.